Let's get right into it. I'm on a little bit of a time schedule today, so I got about an hour for our chat. I see everybody coming in. We're going to get right to it. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes behind. That's what happens when you forget your phone at home and you're broadcasting on your phone. So I had to turn back around, go get my phone, come on down. So here we are. We're back doing the chat again. What I want to talk to you about was something that's really interesting that's happening. I'm pulling up the live chat right now, guys. If you're new here, when I look away, I'm not, it's not that I'm avoiding eye contact or anything else. I am just simply checking the chat, checking everything you're saying. I want to be able to interact with you, go back and forth, and talk aplenty. So let's get to it. What's happening is, I don't know if you've noticed, but Democrats have really started to fight back, and they've actually gotten a unified message. So the unified message is we got to stop this gerrymander. We got to stop all this stuff all at once, all together as a party. We got to come together to support the California redistricting. We got to support the Democrats in Texas, even though they went back to the state. They actually were a great success in what they did in Texas. Because remember, the point of the Texas walkout was to give blue states, specifically California, enough time to get the process going on their own redistricting to combat what Texas is doing. So they did a great job. And you'll notice that once California's process was well on its way, the Texas Democrats went home because the whole goal was to get everything rolling. So again, Democrats start fighting back. Democrats have real momentum. I saw some polling on the California ballot initiative on the redistricting, and Democrats are starting out with about a 25-point advantage. So, Republicans are going to probably try to throw $100 million at this, and it's generally a waste of money. It's not gonna. If things stay the way they are, and I expect support for this initiative will grow even more because Gavin Newsom and the Democrats have done some really brilliant messaging on this to say, California, we need you to do this to save the country. I mean, what a great patriotic message, huh? What a fantastic message. And how many Californians are going to look at that and go, yeah, but I really am opposed to gerrymandering. The second brilliant thing they did was they made it temporary. They said, okay, we don't like gerrymandering either, but we got to fight fire with fire, and we can't let Trump do this. So for the time being, 2026, 2028, 2030, we're going to do things this way, the new map way. But then with the 2030 census, which, let's face it, California's probably going to gain seats in 2030. They're going to go back to their independent commission. So, it's all about the ballot initiative is quite simply about, do Californians want to save democracy? It's a really great way of phrasing it. It really is. Because who's gonna vote against that outside of MAGA? So let's put these pieces together real fast. We got Democrats fighting back. Democrats have a unified message. I wrote this story on Politicus USA about Akeem Jeffries saying that when Republicans go low, we're going to hit them and hit them hard, which he had a little play on the old Michelle Obama quote, but the message was received. And that's exactly what the Democratic base has been dying to hear since Donald Trump took office, I believe at least. But the other side of this coin is, okay, it looks like Trump's gerrymander, and we're gonna have a discussion about this. Trump's gerrymander of Texas and other places is not working out the way he wanted. Everything Trump has tried to do to distract from the Epstein files is not working out, which is where today's John Bolton raid comes in. Now, I woke up pretty early this morning, so I was kind of following the news, and it was on, and I was in the background, and I was doing some typing, and I heard a Trump raid. I'm like, okay, Trump raid on John. I thought, oh, John Brennan. That's obviously who he raided and why. That he's coming after Brennan for years. So yeah, that's what happened. Oh, this is very interesting. Let's see. And then it said John Bolton, and I'm like, huh? John Bolton? Are you serious? What could this be about? This couldn't possibly be about what I think it's about. And, within like 10 minutes, we all found out that it was about exactly what we thought it was about. Uh, Trump is still mad over Bolton's book when he tried to get him prosecuted first in 2020 for leaking classified information or mishandling classified information, and a grand jury threw that out. Well, 5 years later, the Trump Department of Justice has brought it back, and they raided him, and they're trying to find something he did that was wrong. So, I suppose if you're expecting that would dominate the news after this Russia Ukraine thing completely fizzled and died in the vine, as you could have expected with Trump, that's gone. Now he's raiding John Bolton and hoping that pops the news. And he's doing it partially out of petty revenge, and the other part really is that he needs a distraction from, guess what? The Epstein files. And I was so happy to see some congressional Democrats immediately out with statements saying that, yeah, this is a distraction from the Epstein files. Yeah, this is going nowhere. Yeah, this is really bad for democracy. But he's doing this to distract from the Epstein files. So that's where we are. If you put the two together, as people keep demanding the Epstein files, Trump keeps going deeper and deeper into the past to try to find something that will make people forget about the Epstein files. Now we're to the point where he's raiding John Bolton. So it doesn't look like a winning hand because it's not. It's a bad hand. Trump has built it himself, and he can make this all go away simply by releasing the files. So let's check in with you guys here over on the chat side. Let me turn my head for a moment. Up, we got some people to say hi to. Let's see. I can't see how many people are in here right now, but I'm assuming it's a good number. Oh, Mariette Tanowski and Carol Tyra have joined us. Hi, you two. Daphne McHugh and Carlos are here. Up, Amy Steinrich says mango keeps escalating. Marilyn Dick, great speech. I think she might be referring to Gavin Newsom. Up, and we got lots of comments today. Johnny Paris Tours and 3 others are with us. Hello. Thomas Arden, Lisa M, and Kathy Shippen. Hello, all. You guys I see some new faces, some new names here. That's great. I'm sorry that we had a little break for a couple weeks on this chat. We did a quick one last Friday. Just a real quick check-in after Trump and Putin did their thing, and we had to do some reaction to see how you guys were feeling about it. Oh, Howard Goranson is here. Hi, Howard. How are you? Peter Hickman's here. Mel Parker and Ellen Sue Stern are here. Trisha Kittredge is here. Hope I got that right. Robert's here. Hi, Robert. Notes from the Apocalypse is here. Lisa Shirts, Alba F. Jennifer and Robert James are here. Hopefully it's not Jennifer and Robert James like they're a couple. It might be Jennifer and Robert James and they're a human being, a separate person. Kevin Cuban is here. Oh, I'm really like seeing you guys. Hi, welcome. Oh, Beatrice has a comment. She says, as long as we can maintain one person, one vote as Democrats, we have the advantage. We need to embrace a unified message. The Democratic leadership, Schumer, Jeffries, Gillibrand, every other New York leader who has not followed the will of the people need to support Mamdani. The voters have spoken. It's not really Schumer, Gillibrand, and Jeffries really don't need to support Mamdani. It's a mayoral race, and it might be better for Mamdani if they stay out. I'm just saying, he's running as an outsider. You don't want insider leadership supporting him and embracing him and wrapping their arms around him. I think it would work much better for them, given who the opposition is in that race, if you have AOC, Bernie Sanders, some of the strong progressive voices, I think would be really doing Mamdani much more good than having the New York leadership embrace him, because you don't want him to look like part of the establishment. He's a change candidate, and you need him to be himself and act like a change candidate, which is why I really hope the Obama advisors that are hovering around Mamdani back the heck off, because he doesn't need establishment, old 2008 politics in his corner. Oh, Beatrice has interesting point. Thanks much. Oh, Beatrice, you're very welcome. Yeah, I just watching Mamdani. I think he's a phenomenon of his own, and he really doesn't need to be turned into a rank and file Democrat. He needs to do his thing because I think he's got a really good message there, and I think it's a message that really resonates with people because there's a lot of things happening that aren't that are unsettling and that have not been dealt with. And I don't mean like just Trump things. I mean costs. If you live in New York City, which I do not, um, our costs are incredibly high where I live. It's got to be even more insane in New York City. Then there's cost. I mean, crime is falling, but crime's always an issue, especially in an urban environment. Crime's always going to be an issue to a degree. So, there's all kinds of local issues or housing. Housing is a gigantic issue in New York City. So, I mean, he needs to do his thing, and he's doing it really well. Oh, Robert asked, would the New York establishment do well to be against Cuomo and Adams? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Cuomo's been trying to cozy up to Trump because he wants Trump to go after Mamdani. And Cuomo wants a Trump endorsement, basically. So yeah, Robert. The Democratic establishment. Well, the best thing the Democratic establishment could do is use their resources in New York to make sure Adams and Cuomo get nowhere near the mayor's office. That would be my advice. Barbara L has joined. By the way, we had a problem for a few weeks with these chats that for some reason they kept being listed as starting in Central Time. I'm starting them in the East here where I am. Oh, Amy Steinrich is spot on. Thank you, Amy. I hope you're talking to me, not somebody else in the chat. I don't want to be hubristic. Gretchen and Russ Walsh are here. I hope they're two different people again. I think that Substack might be artificially creating couples, and then that might be kind of weird. Um, so everybody else, remember, guys, you have any questions? We could talk about Trump. We could talk about the Bolton thing. We could talk about Epstein files. We can talk about Democrats. Well, I'd like to talk about Democrats. We can talk about the fight that's going on with Democrats unifying and coming together and really, really, this is the most together I've seen Democrats since before the 2006 midterm, and they really had it going against the Iraq War. And we all remember how, if in case you don't remember, 2006 was a very, very, very good year for the Democratic Party. It was a very good midterm. So I think there's a lot of things to be encouraged by now. Okay. Voters we're going through a few more comments. Here we go. Up. Catherine Loafman and Margaret are here. Paul has joined. Oh, Arla Eldemore is here, or Idemore is here. Hi, Arla. It's very nice to meet you. I'm so glad you're here. By the way, guys, if you're not subscribed to Politicus USA and The Daily, or one or the other, depending on your choice, because the Daily features Sarah Jones's brilliant journalism and in-depth analysis of events. And man, I have watched this person work, and she is just phenomenal. The way she puts ideas together, and she crafts her stories, and she edits, and she spends her time, and you're really getting your $6 worth every time she posts. Uh, I don't usually my process is different over at Politicus USA and when I write at the Daily. Um, you know, I've been doing this for a long time, and my brain kind of works in its own way on this stuff. But there's no right or wrong way to eat a Reese's or write a really good story, and you'll get plenty of both at Politicus USA and the Daily with Sarah Jones. So let's see who else we got. Dr. Linda Elmore. Hello, Dr. Moore, and Rachel Smithers here. Now, I'm hoping that I didn't kind of mess up some of our regulars by not giving them enough notice before they got here. And the other issue we've been having is, for some reason, like I said, I'm in the East, but they have been listing these chat starts at Central Time. And it's kind of some people contacted me and said, hey, I'm coming into the end of these chats. I didn't realize that you already started. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, so hopefully it looked like it was listed at the right time zone today, but getting the time zone right is really important for these things. Otherwise, you guys have no idea when to be here. And this is all about you guys. I mean, this is like without you guys, without talking to you guys, I'm here to talk to you. I'm not here to just talk to myself. So, whenever you have comments, ideas, quotes, just give it to me. I'm right here. We can talk about it. This is an open forum. We are not sitting here just listening to me chatter on for endless hours on end, although I could do that. I mean, I am well known for my ability to talk and basically talk too much, I guess, in conversational terms. Well, Yubong Plus and Robert, uh, oh, the Democrats. I think they needed some borrowed courage from us, Amy says. I think Amy's right. I think this all came about because the Democrats got it together based on all the protests, based on all the people demanding the Democrats do something. I think is exactly where it came from. I think without the people pushing them, Democrats would have tried to say that this is business as usual. And it's not business as usual. It is by no means business as usual. Uh, Chris Hand and Tom Brahan. I think that's right. I hope I didn't mess that up. Barbara L. Welcome to the chat, fellas. Barbara L. says it looks like the Democrats are finally getting the message from the people and starting to speak out and take action. No, you're totally right, Barbara. That's exactly it. And you know what else? Donations to the DNC and the DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, but especially the DNC, have plummeted. And it's not because Democrats or their potential supporters have stopped donating. It's because people are just going right around the DNC and now instead they're donating directly to the candidates. And they're not going to put up with an organization that doesn't represent them. So, the DNC had to get the message. And, I don't fault new DNC chair Ken Martin for any of this because he inherited quite a quite a cluster. And he is beloved in Minnesota. He's a grassroots organizer, and I can tell you that he's been putting some of that grassroots knowledge into he wants to rebuild local Democratic parties and grassroots on up. That's going to take some time. I don't think this is Ken Martin's fault. Ken Martin didn't come from the inside the DC Democratic establishment. I think this is the DNC's had some problems for a while, and I think that it got exposed pretty heavily again in 2024. Jamie Harrison did a pretty decent job when he first came in to straighten up the disaster after 2016, but I think that they really needed a new direction. They needed somebody with more grassroots force. I think they're getting that in Ken Martin, but the donations are way down, and I frankly don't think they're going to come back up for quite a long time. I think it's going to be a matter of Democratic donors are getting more savvy and they're cutting out the middleman, and they're saying, well, why are we giving money just to this party wide organization when I can give money to this race that really matters to me? And that's smart. And you know what? People just don't have as much money right now. I don't know who. I mean, I don't know who's, unless you're a billionaire or a millionaire, I don't know who's prospering in this economy at the moment. But it's not regular people who give their $5 or $10. It just isn't. And by the way, if you want more people to see this chat on Substack and come in and engage, slam that heart, give it some likes, and then people will see us, they'll bump us up, will come on in. Um, thoughts about Dave? Robert asked thoughts about David Hogg out from DNC leadership. I think David Hogg's got a really bright future. I don't think he was ready yet to be a DNC vice chair. If I'm going to be completely 100% honest, I think he's really young. I think that's a position that it's a little bit too much too soon. And he was pretty divisive, and he was doing a lot of self promotion. But he's also, again, a pretty young dude with I think a big future ahead of him. Um, Maybe just not now for the DNC. That's my thought. Rachel Smith says, "It's definitely not business as usual. It will take a lot more than marching and conversation. Our resistance is far from over. Hopefully, we will win peacefully. Not sure. Not sure." Well, I think, you know, the thing that we're not hearing much about that we should, ask yourself, why are we not hearing more about what's going on with black and brown people being grabbed in this country and being taken away? And I think the answer to my question is in the first part of the question, or the last part of the question. Black and brown people. The Trump the Trump administration is really savvy about a lot of things, and one of them is they know that as long as they can keep white America in the dark for as long as possible and not get them outraged, then they still have a chance of survival. That's why, like, you haven't seen a full-blown kind of fascism kind of thing, because if that happened, white America would be impacted, and then all heck would break loose. So, Trump keeps using the power of the office to target vulnerable people and vulnerable communities. They did it with Medicaid cuts, they're doing it with immigration, they're doing it with ICE. They It's just that consistent trend, and it's gonna continue until Democrats win back some power and effectively end Trump's presidency in, 16 or so months. Oh, I see Sean. Sean Colarossi popped in. I thought I saw Sean come in. Yeah, hey, Sean, how are you? Uh, Annette Waller. Oh, a cherry? Oh, I hope I got that right. The Republic Amy Steinrich says that the Republicans are great at getting everyday people to hate each other. They are. They're really great at distraction. They're really great at blaming someone else, and they're really great at making making communities think that it's always the somebody else that's taking something away from them. I've been doing some videos that you can find on Politicus USA, and JD Vance did this exactly with healthcare and Medicaid cuts. And he tried to insinuate that it was illegal, or he didn't insinuate, he directly said it was illegal immigrants and black and brown people who are taking healthcare away from Americans who deserve it. Now, who in their view is an American who deserves healthcare? Well, it's obviously a white American. I mean, he didn't have to say that, but he made it very clear what he was talking about. He's such a tool. I think we're talking about JD here. See, when we just don't have names on these things, sometimes I wonder if you guys are talking about me, and I'm like, oh, okay. Uh, Lisa, Lisa Ann has joined. Hi, Lisa Ann. Clear-eyed optimist. I remember you, clear-eyed optimist. Welcome back to the chat. We like clear-eyed optimism here. We like all optimism here. Yeah. So, if you guys are new, I do interact more with the chat than a lot of, I guess, other people that do this kind of thing. Um, I, I got some complaints early on because I was jumping in and interacting too much with the chat from the beginning. So I tried to take 5 or 10 minutes and address the topic that this gathering's about, and then, it's pretty much open season. Alexander Bushlova and oh, Lorna Dodotolo, hope I got that right, have joined for both counts. Thank you both. David Messenger is here. Hi, David. It's nice to see you. Cynthia G is here. You know, I really am so happy you guys are here. I mean, every week when I sit down and do one of these, I'm like, okay, maybe this is the week nobody's going to show up. Maybe I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to talk to myself. And every week, you guys never disappoint. You're always here. You always have great comments and questions. You always have a lot to say. Rachel Smith says the Heritage Foundation is calling for white America. The evangelicals have been here for years and attempting to turn people against people who are white and black and brown. I believe they misjudged Americans. I believe they did too, Rachel, because I think Trump really thought that he was going to come in and he was just going to make this happen and everybody was going to fall in line behind him, and he really, really believed his nonsense about everybody voting for this MAGA agenda. And quite simply, people didn't. And they're not. They're not interested. They're in fact, they're more than not interested. They're actively repulsed by it, by much of it. So the whole "You voted for this thing?" I don't think that is really an accurate description because number 1, Trump's a pathological liar. Number 2, so what he told people they were voting for and what they actually got are not the same thing. And number 2, as we've talked about many times in these chats before, people weren't paying attention in 2024. A lot of people were tuned out on it. They didn't want a Biden Trump rematch. They didn't want more of the same. They were mad about a lot of things resulting from the pandemic that were still ongoing. And they basically either they didn't vote or they made up their mind early that the incumbents were going to pay. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. You had maybe I wish there was a way to quantify this, but I suspect you may have had the lowest information turnout and lowest informed voter in recent American history, at least. I'm not going to be snarky and say in history or overblown. We're going to say in recent American history because I think that's a pretty fair way of putting it. Um, I don't know. This electorate was just really poorly informed, and part of that's the media, because the media really, really did a bad job of covering this campaign. They did a bad job of covering Trump. They did a bad job of covering Biden and then covering Harris. They just poorly informed the voters by not telling them what they needed to know before they voted. And that's professional malpractice. I don't care what partisan side your thinking is on. This country was built on the idea of an informed electorate. So when the electorate is misinformed or underinformed, or in some cases not informed, you get what we got in 2024. A lot of people casting ballots going, well, I just don't know enough about Kamala Harris. Well, maybe they didn't. It was a fast sprint of a campaign. Maybe they didn't have enough time to get comfortable with her. Or well, Trump says he's gonna all I have to do is vote for him and he's gonna make inflation go away. Well, that sounds good. Yeah, it does sound good. It's also completely unrealistic and it could never happen. Steven Zip is here, and so is Carol Hynek. Marianne Smith is here. Larry is here. Linda Lee is here. Oh my God. Oh, Manon? Oh, I probably butchered that, and I'm so sorry if I did. You're here, and thank you and welcome. By the way, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, anything you'd like to say to the group, or just to me, oh, Mary Lynn is here. Hi. If you have anything you'd like to say, you're just fine. Come on and bring it on. I just don't know why anyone believed him. Actually, Amy, there's some real great research on that. Amy says. Um, it turns out that Trump's basic margin of victory, especially in these swing states, came from people under 30. Okay. Um, especially people under 25. If you were under 25 in 2024, you don't have much knowledge of Donald Trump. You may not have even been paying attention, and if you're 2025, 8 years before that, you were 16 years old, 17 years old, maybe. You're not even old enough to vote. What do you care? 2020 was COVID. I'm pretty sure that they weren't all locked into politics. You know, there's research that Trump's margin was with younger people and first time voters who didn't know him, who didn't have any background history of him. And again, that's a failing of the Democrats and the media because the Democrats, the first thing they should have done, this reminds me of the 2016 Hillary Clinton mistake, where they thought everybody would vote for Hillary because everybody knows Hillary. And it turned out there were a whole lot of younger voters that didn't know her. And she lost in the most brutal and narrow way possible. Looks like they did the same thing again, except this time they just assumed everybody knew Trump, and they assumed that people wouldn't vote for a convicted felon. Well, we all know that that didn't really hold up. Barbara says, "We are all immigrants except for the Native American Indians. My father and his siblings were first generation born in the USA. My grandfather and family immigrated from Germany in the early 1900s." See, that's true, but that's something that Republicans have whitewashed, and they're totally like trying to make the country forget that they want this whole real Americans thing that goes way back in this country, and it doesn't ever really involve the Native Americans. It's always about white people and white supremacy. Um, Elizabeth Cruz is here. Rick N has joined. Okay, let's see now. Let's scroll up more. Rachel says, "If you are black, brown, or Jewish, you couldn't live in any of his buildings." That's Trump. "I have friends who never collected their monies after completing their work on Trump's building. He told them to get an attorney and put them out of business. Uh, these were businesses for generations." Yeah, that's pretty common Trump history right there. That's how Donald Trump rolls. Buy now, don't pay later is exactly Donald Trump's method of doing business. And it's exactly what he did to the voters in 2024. They bought what he promised. And then as soon as he got elected, almost immediately, he said, "I can't do anything about prices. That inflation thing looks really hard." And then he just dropped it all. And then 3 weeks after, resuming office, his approval rating started to fall like a rock. And it's continued to fall. Alexis and two others have joined. So I need to ask you guys, are you satisfied with what Democrats have been saying coming out of California? Are you satisfied with the direction the Democrats are going in? Does anybody here have any problem with Democrats in blue states redrawing their districts in retaliation to what Republicans are doing? And if you do, there's a real simple way to fix this nationally. Once Democrats get back the entire control of the federal government, demand they pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. Because that bill contains a gerrymandering ban, a ban for all 50 states. They won't be allowed to gerrymander anymore. So that's what you can do. You can, if you're not real comfortable maybe with the gerrymandering, and I'm not a fan, maybe you just say, well, we got to do this for the greater good right now. And then don't forget about it. Don't just put it in your back pocket. Then when the time comes and Democrats have the power and they start talking about all their legislative priorities and what they could do, you go, hey, remember that redistricting thing we did for you back in 2025 and we saved democracy and we're all here today because of it? Yeah, remember that? That was really important, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, no, it was. So we'd like you to pass that John Lewis Voting Rights Act bill now. And, Mrs. Democratic president, please sign it as soon as it's passed. And then we'll never have to go through this again. That is what we can do. Oh, yes, yes, you're right, Amy. We have to get to that point first. So we kind of go through it now. We deal with it. We do what we got to do. This is the thing. Democrats, unlike Republicans, have never been willing to do what they have to do to win. Until now. Until now. Finally, Democrats have looked around and said, screw this. We keep losing because we try to be nice and we try to play by the rules. And Republicans ignore the rules, turn over the game board, and then declare victory. So we're not doing it anymore. And we're gonna play by these rules that they're playing by. And I think that's great news for the country. And I think if they want one fast way to get Republicans to stop what they've been doing, have Democrats start doing the same thing back. Sometimes politics is not complicated. It's more like dealing with 4-year-olds. Uh, Jennifer Glossop is here. Not My President has joined. Hello, Not My President. You've been here before. Uh, Joe Lemmer is here. Joe says, we do have to do this for the greater good now. Agree. A lot of things need to be done to tighten up democracy. This is in response to the question I asked, are you okay with this? Rachel Smith. Not at all. The Dems should have stayed away until December to win in Texas. We will we will do what we have to do. I'm sure that which we would never ever do. Yeah, I really wanted the Democrats to try to stay away till December, but then as you got into the economics of it, um, the fines that were piling up against them personally, and these are people that this being in the legislature is only a $600 job, and they all have other jobs and their lives and their families. So unless the Democrats were willing to make a gigantic effort to provide for these people, it wasn't possible. And maybe they didn't want to stay away from home forever. I mean, they already left, racked up immense fines, and took a big stand for the country and democracy. If they would decide they want to come home, we shouldn't be the ones to judge them. Um, Michael Kittner is joined. Rachel Smith says the Republicans are scandalous and unrepentant. That is true. Uh, okay, I think we're doing really great here, gang. I'm really happy here. I really enjoy talking to you guys every week. I look forward to coming in here and talking to you guys every week. I hope you gain something out of this, and I hope that we all get to share knowledge and we all learn something. And my whole idea is I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything I know. I'm not going to lecture you like a professor in a class. We're going to engage, and we're going to hopefully show the strength of this community. And we're gonna do this together. And I'm gonna learn things from you, and you're gonna learn things from me, and we're gonna have a conversation. Rachel says, "I can appreciate what the Dems did by staying away." Yeah, it was quite a sacrifice. Um, the Republicans were trying to say, and I kept reading this pop up online. Must have been a talking point. It would litter comment sections under this type of story all the time. Well, those Democrats obviously have a lot of money, and this isn't hurting them, and they're just betraying democracy in the country. And I'm like, yeah, they don't have a lot of money. I'm sure some of them do, because that's just the odds when you have a group of people. There's going to be some that are better off than others usually, but they weren't rich people as a group. Hearing from other Rachel Smith says, hearing from others who stand together is encouraging. I hope so. I really do hope so. Because, I never come in here with the intent of, because, a lot of people in the media and online and on Substack and on YouTube, and they're selling fear. They're trying to scare you. And I don't want you to be scared. I want you to be alert. I want you to be aware. I want you to know what your government is supposed to do versus what your government is doing right now. And never be afraid, never settle for abnormal. Never normalize the abnormal and the wrong. Never, ever normalize it. I don't care how many times Trump lies. I don't care what happens. Never normalize what these people are trying to do. You have to stand up against it. And that's why some people are like, why do you keep every single time he does one of these things? Why do you keep talking about it? Because we can't let it become the norm. We just can't. Okay. Robert says, I'm tired of the media pro-clutching about Dems gerrymandering while saying nothing of the abnormality of what Texas is doing. It's always up to the Dems that stop the GOP and never about how terrible the GOP is. Yeah, that goes into a construct of the media. The media has basically two constructs and guiding tenets that they use about this country that are both wrong. First of all, they believe that this is a conservative country. And secondly, they believe that they believe they're genuinely scared of Republicans. The media is genuinely scared of Republicans, and it's the job of Democrats to acquiesce to Republicans. That's sort of the media idea. Uh, Amy says, "Oh, the pretzel foe is twisting themselves into regarding Newsom's tweets. Just something happy to think about." Yeah, Gavin Newsom's social media team has really hit on something, and it was pointed out that once the Newsom team started putting all their tweets in all caps, Trump stopped. So if you don't think that this isn't getting to Trump, you're wrong. Ah, Cross-Bordered has joined. Hello, Cross-Bordered. You know what? This is great. I just want to remind you guys again, if you can, if you're not already, because eventually I'm going to start doing some of these chats just for Politicus USA subscribers and just for daily subscribers. And then we're going to have like one freebie for everybody, everybody to come together on Substack. But, so I want to make sure that like when that happens, you're not like, man, there's a chat happening and I'm not there. Well, you got to subscribe to know about these things. Um, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go as far as some people go as far as like trying to push subscriptions as hard as you humanly can and make you feel like, well, here's an ad. Here's another ask for money. I'm not gonna be like the Democrats in your inbox. Okay. But yeah, I mean, there's some of these things like I keep saying this to you because at some point we're going to branch out into like chats for Politicus USA and chats for the Daily. So I want to make sure that like people who want to take part in those things are going to be able to as well. That's why I'm giving you a heads up. And before all that starts, I will let you know. Susan Wells is here. We've seen Susan Wells here before. Hi, Susan. Dana Rose is here. Hi, Dana. SJ is here. Hello, SJ. Those are some great initials. So, if you guys have any questions, any comments, I know August is a pretty on balance, a pretty slow news time. So, if when after Labor Day, when Congress comes back into session, and then we have a government funding, government shutdown deadline in September, there's a whole lot of stuff happening next month. So it's going to get a lot busier and a lot crazier. But until then, you can sit here and ask me whatever you want. Andre has joined us. Hello, Andre. I hope I said that right because there's an accent symbol. Andre, maybe, but no, E is accented. Um, so Randy S. Eisenberg. Hi, Randy Eisenberg. I remember you well. Welcome back to the chat. I'm just happy to see so many of our regulars starting to come in. I really enjoy talking to you guys. By the way, I usually will, some people like to put where they're from too when the chat starts and we say hello to from different parts of the country and world. Hi, Randy. Um, and that you're always welcome to do that too, whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm more than happy to just sit here and engage with everybody. Sorry, I'm late. Yeah, I think everybody, you know, is a little late and slow to begin with, Randy. I don't think it's just you. I was 6 minutes late. So that just tells you what all about that. Robert said it's so slow. Lawrence O'Donnell went on vacation after Labor Day. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't realize that Lawrence is 72 years old. Man, good job, Lawrence O'Donnell, to bring that kind of intensity and fire and passion and knowledge and intellect to your show every night. I mean, I'm hoping that I'm like half of that at 72. Um, and checking in from Newsom country. Oh, Randy, you're a Californian. Congratulations. Anybody that's lucky enough to live in a purely blue state deserves congratulations. I live in Pennsylvania, which, in case y'all don't know, um, we are 2/3 Democratic at the state house and the governor's mansion. And we have a gerrymandered, very sticky Republican state Senate majority that we've been trying to get rid of forever that is still there. Okay. Now, Amy says, any theories on the R's in Congress not realizing they're they're abdicating their own power to a mango. Oh, I think they made a deal with the, not literal devil unless you watch South Park, you'll understand that reference. I think they made a deal here in that they decided they were gonna give up their power, place themselves in Trump's hands, and, they were hoping that Trump would carry them to re-election in 2026. A really bad deal, because now they've given up their power. Now they're stuck with all the crappy, horrible things that Trump has done, and Trump has had them vote for. And they're faced with, honestly, I don't want to sound too Pollyannish and optimistic, but at the trajectory that things are going right now, I think there's a real possibility Democrats pick up 60 or more House seats. That's kind of like why some of this gerrymander stuff is a bit overblown, because I have in my 21 years of writing about this stuff and years before that in academics and stuff, never ever seen an electorate this against an incumbent party this soon. I mean, it's just the last time this happened was the great 63 seat drubbing in the 2010, I believe the 2010 midterm. Um, I think it's going to be ugly, and I don't think I don't think there's enough seats out there. Even Republican strategists have admitted there's not enough seats out there for them to gerrymander to hold the House. If they get focused on gerrymandering, they're in big trouble. So they're focused on gerrymandering, which kind of means they're in big trouble. And if you've watched them during this recess, well, the few that have managed to show their faces in their districts, man, this selling of the one big beautiful bill is not going well. And Trump isn't out there. Trump got them to pass this piece of garbage, and then he was like, "Well, I got my tax cut. Good luck." He's not out there selling this thing. He sent JD Vance to Georgia, and that was the other day, and that was ridiculous. That was really bad. RJ, aka Crochet Ray. So should I call you Crochet Ray or should I call you RJ? Um, Rachel says, I believe the Republicans will have to face their makers and their once supporting audience. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people there that I cannot get over the fact that Donald Trump beat Kamala Harris with people on Medicaid, among voters on Medicaid, 50 to 49. That just shows you how far the disinformation went. And those people on Medicaid, Trump's approval of people on Medicaid right now is like 30%. It's below standard MAGA watermarks. So that tells you that a lot of those people that voted for Trump in 2024 are now going to lose their health insurance, and they're not happy about it. And they're going to vote for the option that will make them feel better. Randy said, what hurts was being ahead of the curve for 9 months. Okay. Dr. Randy Kaplan, I think I might have missed something there. I probably missed part of that comment. Rachel said, I believe the person would fix their makers. Okay, guys. Kate is here. Dr. Randy M. Kaplan. Hello, Dr. Kaplan. It's great to see you, and I'm really glad you're here. I believe you've been here before. Sherry is here. Malcolm J. McKinney is here. NC is here. Hopefully that's, MC is just initials and not short for Master of Ceremonies. Because, I'd have to break out some MC Hammer lyrics if that's the case. Uh, Joanna Chavez and Juliet Craig are here. Rachel Smith says, wait until after the elections when the big bill takes effect. Then and only then will the stuff hit the fan. I did a little cleanup there. Yeah, the problem is a lot of the bad stuff, like especially with the ACA, isn't gonna wait till after the election. And the tax cuts and the disparity and the economic issues it's causing aren't waiting till after the election. I mean, the Medicaid cuts are gonna really and the thing is, like here in Pennsylvania, if you're on Medicaid, Josh Shapiro is already sending out letters to everybody on Medicaid telling them what Republicans are doing. Nobody's being left in the dark here. So What of all our vets, Rachel Smith, are being totally screwed. Yes, thank you for clearing that up. What about our vets? Our vets are getting some of the worst of this deal, and there's some of the least reporting on this. Not just with the tax cut bill, but Trump's damaging of the VA. This basically he's trying to dismantle the VA, and he's trying to renege on a lot of the promises that were made to our veterans. And what else can you say? I mean, it's Trump. It's shameful. It's disgusting. It's repulsive. And he's never liked or cared about those who serve. He's never understood why they serve. And that now he's harming them. Now he's going out there and he's actually causing harm to our veterans. But they'll all fly the flag and tell us America first and all that kind of stuff. They're not being honest with us at all. Um and they're really betraying veterans. And I think America's vets are going to make themselves very loudly heard in 2026. Okay, let me see here. I keep having to flip over the screen because I can't see the numbers of how many people we got here. And then every time I do that, it's sinful. It is sinful. Hun Song and two others have joined. Hello, Hun. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Um, guys, we're coming up on about an hour, about another 5 minutes. So if you guys have anything else you want to talk about or chat about until next week, by the way, do you guys like the Friday chats? Because I'm still trying to find the day and time that works best. There's a few days a week that are just kind of off the table for me. Um, that I have other stuff I got to take care of, but I would be happy to kind of whatever you guys like. If you guys like Friday chats, we'll do Friday chats. This is normally not a busy day of the week, which is kind of good for me because I'm not off writing all day. But it's also kind of bad because fewer people are interested in engaging on a Friday afternoon. A lot of people kind of checked out for the week. Um, so whatever you think, whatever you like, whatever you think is best, I'll try to give more of a heads up than a few hours notice. Uh, I noticed that I had scheduled it for an hour later than I intended when I first scheduled it, so I had to go back and move it back an hour. So I'll try to give you like a day's notice. So you'll get a little alert in your calendar saying chat tomorrow. That would be really useful, I think. Rachel says, thank you for being there. Amy Sandwich says, thank you. Uh, Marta, Gwen, and Joel have joined. Hi. Kimmy Wynn is here. I believe Kimmy's been here before. I really, really enjoy, I can't say, I keep saying it, and I do mean it. I enjoy coming here and doing these chats, and I hope you enjoy it too. And I hope you weren't like, oh my God, we just listened to this guy talk for an hour. What's he about? No, I hope we get something really good there. Hi, Kimmy. I believe you've been here before, so welcome back. Uh, did you see the video of the Marine who laid out basically don't F with the Marines? I did not see that, Randy. I did not see that, but that looks like something we would very much enjoy. Deb is here. Hiya, Deb. So, I'm hoping that I can find a nice day of the week for these, that everybody can come in and participate. And I know some of our West Coast friends will prefer. Yeah, please put it in the link. Hi, Cher. Nice to see you. Um, I'll put it in the link. Or yeah, I hope we can find a nice day. Our West Coast friends really do like later in the day because I used to do these at 11 a.m. and they were like, "Man, that's 8 o'clock in the morning here." Maybe we could do it a little later. For our West Coast friends. So this is like 1 o'clock on the West, but maybe we need to find a better day or a different day. Kelly MC is here. Hi, Kelly. Nice to see you. Another MC. I'm hoping that stands for Mick. And again, not Master of Ceremonies. We can only have so many jive MCs in this house. Um, let's see. Douglas O'Donnell is here. Hi, Douglas O'Donnell. Nice to see you. So, guys, if you got anything to say, this is the time. I'm hoping that our armed service begins to resist. Well, it's going to be hard for them because of the commitment they made to follow orders and everything. I think if you see any resistance from our troops, it will be with their votes in the next election. Uh, Conk CL has joined. What if I got that wrong? Hope that's right. Hello. So, if you guys have any questions, this is it. Anthony and two others are here. Hi, Anthony, and the other two people that Substack didn't think deserve to have be named. Um, I really appreciate you guys all being here. This is the last call for questions. We'll get another chat in next week. Next week's a holiday weekend, so the chat will be earlier in the week next week. You Boyd is here, so keep that in mind. We're going to try to get this going, maybe by like Wednesday at the latest next week, because we want to get this done so everybody can participate before the holiday weekend goes. Unless they're asked to do the unconscionable. Yeah, if they're asked to, they can resist an illegal order, refuse to obey an illegal order, and you know, hopefully that day doesn't come. But with what we've seen in the first 7 months or so, 7 months feels like 7 years, but it's only been 7 months. That's very possible. I'm Jason Eastley. This is Sandra Tuttle. I'm not going to cut you up. I'm going to give a few minutes here because Sandra Tuttle always comes into our chats. Hello, Sandra. Nice to see you. I'm not going to run away just as soon as you sign in because that seems to be really rude and I'd be a bad guest to do so or a bad host to do so. And I don't want to leave my guests hanging like that. Like shoot at their legs. I don't put it past Trump. Yeah, it's very Trump. Very shoot at their legs is very Trump. It's very on brand, but again, it's super abnormal for a president to suggest shooting at the legs of anyone with the military. So we need to always remember that. Oh, Brett Giannotta and Mary Fretwell are here. Hi, everybody. Hi to both of you. So next week, holiday weekend, we're going to be doing these earlier. I'll try to schedule it on Monday so that you guys will have plenty of advance notice and you can be here. If you have any questions, you can always, if you're subscribed to Politicus USA or the Daily, and even if you're not, and there's a free post, you can always leave comments there. I'll read all the comments, interact. Sarah writes the greatness of the Daily with Sarah Jones, so it's not misnamed. Do I know where Chad's Ford is? I do not know where Chad's Ford is. You can educate me though, Amy. Chad's Ford. It sounds like, somebody's pickup truck. That's Chad's Ford in that parking lot. But that's just an ignorant Western Pennsylvanian talking to you. No disrespect intended. Um, Ignorant as in lack of geographic knowledge in your case. Oh, from outside Philly. Oh, you're a fellow Pennsylvanian. Hello. And let's all do the Josh Shapiro secret handshake. Uh, JJ has joined. Chad's Ford. So now I'm gonna have to Google that and see exactly where you are. Because I've been through and around Eastern Pennsylvania a bit in my life, but I've never been through there. Wow. Hopefully it's blue. So I'll tell you what, guys, I gotta go. I have another commitment. I have something I gotta get taken care of here. Lafayette had a home there, General Lafayette. So that's very interesting. So I got to have the commitment I got to get to. Thank you very much for coming in and talking with me today. Thank you. I hope you got as much from this chat as I did. Oh, Amy's in Florida now. Oh, that's quite a horrible change. Um, Thank you again. Rachel Smith says, enjoy your weekend. Same to you. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Have a safe weekend. Hopefully where you are, the heat wave is finally broken here in the Atlantic region. I guess there's always a debate about Western Pennsylvania, whether we're in the Midwest or whether we're in the Mid-Atlantic. I think we're kind of in the Mid-Atlantic. So our region, the heat wave is finally broken for a bit. So that's why you can see me right now, and I'm not boiling or literally melting. Because sometimes when I got to use my cubbyhole studio, it's about 100 some degrees. So it gets pretty hot. So this is very nice and pleasant, and we got great air conditioning in the big studio. So thank you very much. I have enjoyed every minute of this. Please, please subscribe. Please come and talk to us anytime. I'll see you next week and take care of yourselves.